Peace in, folks. How you doing? Use of force, positive mental attitude. You know how we do. So, I wanted to talk on the divisive tools of language. The thing that brought this to my mind is the term sheep, sheeple. Them and us is basically what people are saying. You've got a growing number of people going, something ain't right here, which is beautiful. But then people get informed, and it's all too easy to fall into the them and us category. And you know, I see in different areas people not realizing that the term sheep is a divisive tool. How can we unite when we continue to find a new them and us, right? So it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I wasn't born like this. I've had to work to get to this. You know, I've had to overcome the my own feelings of irritation towards other people that don't want to question anything, that don't want or don't see the need yet to become self-aware and also self-informed and widely aware and widely informed, you know. And I just feel that it's a really healthy move to remind ourselves that if it's not us, it's divisive. Anything that leads to them and us, that's a divisive tool, right? Like, it feels like psychological warfare to me. And that's extreme, right? But hashtag psychological activist. It's what I see. So I speak my truth from me. I'm not parroting someone else. I'm just saying, like I have been for a long time, that it seems pretty obvious to me that those that were divide and conquer are doing the same thing now that they did back when it was the Romans, right? Before the Roman Empire, when empires were trying to eat empires. I mean, it seems fairly deep, but I do believe there was a point, and I think like the crossover was the Roman Empire period, because it seems to me that groups like the Druids or groups like the Sumerians, or you know, the people of the land of Kemet, which is now called Egypt, but these groups of people that were more like natives, right? They were in tune with the flow of earth. It feels to me like their civilizations were more of a balance, more of a equality. Now, equality is a very hard thing. It's not a very hard thing to speak on, I was going to say, but some people see equality as everyone having exactly the same chances. I don't see that. When I say equality, to me, through like my personal growth, through my experience, right, this is how I define equality, right, is the acceptance of our differences, but respect nonetheless, right? Because I grew up with 3 sisters, many aunties, a mum. I was surrounded by women growing up, and it seemed obvious to me that there was this like gender divide that felt misguided. You know, my sisters would say to me that, you know, they could multitask, and there was this whole thing on it whereby men couldn't, and I learnt to multitask. Because really, and this will tie back to the ancients, is that to me, through my experience and how I see things, is that the gender differences stop at the body, right? What's our differences, right? You know, some men are bigger than other women, but man, you've only got to look around to realise that actually some women are bigger than some men, right? But let's just say that the physicality, you've got male and female, right? Men create sperm, women create eggs. Join us together and we create humans, right? We create the humankind. Now, once you go inside, if you tear away all of these preconceived ideas on left brain, right brain, and it being gender specific, and you actually try and achieve these things that are supposed to be for the other gender, you'll realise that, shit, we've all got the same options inside. We've all got hearts. We've all got minds, you know? So I say, let's get it. Get what, John? Awareness, of course, right? This is what I talk about, awareness. It's not to try and... It's to try and get awareness, right? It's because I've got my level of awareness, right? And there's people that are more aware than me, less aware than me. I'm no master in our latest song, right? It feels important to me that we address our language, and that takes internal awareness, right? It's one of the reasons why I got a lot of respect for the woman who is who started the group Save Our Rights UK. Go get it on Facebook, join in, right? There's plenty of conversations being had, there's plenty of room for growth. But what she's doing is she's actively changing her vocabulary to have a more positive impact, right? Because like it or not, what we do affects other people. You know, there's teachings in the spiritual world that just really encourage selfishness, and I've got no time for that. Because there is no self when everything is connected. Like, and I mean that in a more real way than I do in a spiritual way, but I also mean it on a deeply spiritual level, right? Because everything is connected, the non-spiritual and the spiritual, if there's any difference, but it's all connected, right? And what is the dividing factor? Language, right? Language can be unifying or divisive, and it's down to us, really, as to what we want to do with that. So the term sheep, referring to people that are still asleep, that aren't quite as aware as someone else. They haven't been given the reason to become that aware. They're so... People are... There are a lot of people that seem, for whatever their reasons, and I can't proclaim to know them because I'm not these people. But all I can do is, right, because they seem to like just want to follow the narrative, right? And that is their choice. right? I spent a long time trying to just wake people up, right? To push their awareness, of which I'm still doing. But the fundamental difference is, for me now, I accept, and I have done for a little while, that isn't necessarily going to be possible for some people, or it might take longer for some people. They might need something different to trigger their change, right? But I guess partly what I also do now, part of my motivation now, is for those that are either becoming more aware of themselves and the world, for self-information and external information, is to really try and encourage us all to lead with compassion and find the strength in that compassion. It's not a submissive compassion, it's quite the opposite. In fact, I wouldn't say it's the opposite, because the opposite of submissive would be dominance. Like I put in one of my recent songs, I've got no time for dominance, right? But this really is about compassion-led strength. You know, I said compassion and kindness are my king and queen, right? I don't need to drop down on one knee or worship them. They live within me. You know, and this is the type of thinking that I would like to encourage more, is to watch the words we use, analyse the language we're using, and see if we can't change words that will be more positive, first and foremost for ourselves, right? Because like this lady said in a group, how she's finding it very depressing dealing with all of this. The people that just want to mask up like all day, not seeing the inconsistencies, and that is really hard to deal with. It's very hard to deal with things when you know it's having a negative impact on people and you can see a negative path it's going down. But we're not going to help by buying into the divisive tools that are being pumped on us. I saw a shocking video yesterday, some white boy on the underground layering off people of different colours to him, and there were these group of brown skin lads, and as they got off the train, and he'd been abusing, right, it was outright racism, right, and one of them just clocked him on the way out and knocked him out, and I was happy, but at the same time I was like, oh no. There it is on social media, getting pumped around. I spoke to a couple of people yesterday, they'd both seen it, and I was like, oh God, that's a divisive tool. And it's not even like that needs to be pumped out by the paid governmental or military trolls. There are sections of the government and the military that are paid to disrupt and to keep the divide and conquer mindset alive. That's not a conspiracy theory, that's a conspiracy. Do you know what I mean? So it's a matter of trying to, when these things happen, when you get the opportunity to speak like them and us, is to breathe in, take a minute, pull it back, study yourself. None of us are impervious to these psychological traps that we've all been subject to due to the education system, right? We're taught from a young age divisive measures, judgment, greed, right? So we've all got something in us we can develop, and our language is the unifying thing. So I'm going to say, because we're getting up on that time, let's use the force. Positive mental attitude. Let's be kind with our thoughts. Let's keep loving our hearts, and let's get it. Get what, John? Awareness, of course. Peace in.